all without parents' knowledge or consent. You want people to care more about skin color rather than judging school board members by the contour of their character. If TEA doesn't get rid of you, we will wake every parent up and vote you out anyway. Your days on the school board will be over. And since I got an extra minute, I'm gonna read from one of y'all's books at Faria's Early Childhood Center. Book title.
Mr. Calderon, please make sure that you stay on topic, which is item 1, investment report.
Y'all are investing on these books, and I'm gonna read it. They kiss each other all over their bodies, behind the ears, on the neck, on the chest and stomach, even on the bum and between the legs. Sabrina's vagina becomes moist and warm, and Marco's penis gets very stiff. Marco then pushes his penis into Sabrina's vagina, always in and out. That feels great for both of them. When the feeling is nicest, Marco's penis sprays semen into Sabrina's vagina.
Mr.
This
Calderon,
is at an early childhood
you are not
center
on topic.
for 4-year-olds at ISD. Done.
Yeah, I don't know if they can. She told me to. Our next item held for registered speakers is item 6, consideration and approval to issue school district teaching permits for non-core career and technical education courses. Will Daniel Santos please come to the podium?
Good evening, members of the board. I rise to speak on item 6. HFT continues to raise concern over the decision to issue teaching permits to non-board certified individuals. Our communities deserve professional, board-certified teachers in their schools, and they deserve schools that reflect the community. This is also why HFT condemns the hostile takeover of HISD. TEA does not reflect our community, does not know our community, or engages with our community. Thus, for our students, we must not only preserve the professional status of our teachers, but we must also exhaust every option to stop the hostile TEA takedown of our community schools. Finally, if you do believe in community and diversity, we call on all Houstonians to Google Community Voices for Public Education and sign the petition. Porque sí se puede.
We had one more speaker registered for item 1. Ms. Smith, please admit Jana McEwen.
Sorry.
Ms. McEwen?
Yes. Hi, can you hear me?
Please
Oh,
turn
I'm
on your
sorry.
camera so
Hold
we
on.
can see you.
Okay, yes. Do I have 2 minutes?
Yes, you may begin.
Okay. Houston was recently voted the dirtiest city in America. Our crime is through the roof and rivals the likes of Chicago, and our schools are not only failing, but some are literally falling apart. What's the common denominator here? Democrats. You've been shoving your progressive policies down our throats since Obama's first term in
Ms.
2008.
McEwen, please stay on topic with item 1, investment reports.
I'm getting there. You run our city, control our justice system, and have majority rule over our schools, but yet you constantly blame Republicans and Abbott for shortcomings and failed policies. You received $1 billion in ESSER funds and had nothing to show for it except over $400 million unaccounted for in a looming TEA takeover. So let's talk about that $400 million and how it could be better spent to help our kids. In HISD, Hispanics make up 62% of the population, blacks 22%, whites 9.5%, and Asians 4.4%. So please help me understand why you are putting money into programs such as diversity, equity, and inclusion when the so-called minorities you preach about are actually the majority. You saw what happened at U of H recently. They're sick of the racist policies and said enough is enough. No more. Now, have you ever wondered why the testing and grades are so low in the predominantly Hispanic and Black communities? And again, this comes back to money where we could actually help these kids. English is not the first language for a lot of them. You quit teaching phonics in our schools. Imagine moving to Mexico and trying to learn Spanish without being taught phonics. you'd be walking around saying rojo for red instead of rojo. It's not that the students are ignorant. It's just that you have set them up for failure from the very beginning by teaching them whole word, sight word, instead of how letters come together phonetically to form a sound and make a word. And for the record, whole word, sight word has led to an increase in dyslexia and students with disabilities across the board. You have a large population of Black students coming from broken homes where they have little to no parent involvement. You cannot expect these children to soar when their wings have been clipped before ever stepping foot in the classroom. This is not, this starts at home. How can you expect these children to know their worth and know their true potential when you're actively teaching them that they're oppressed and their peers are the ones oppressing them?
Ms. McEwen, your time is up. Our next item held for registered speakers is item 12, approval of budget increase and authority to amend the contract with Rice and Gardner Consultants, Inc. for facilities assessment and capital planning services. Will Tracy Riley please come to the podium?
Good. Okay, great. Good evening. Thank you for having me this evening. I wanted to share with you all, you've seen me here before, I'm really passionate about pushing the bond forward, knowing that our students in our city so desperately needs the support of 2023, I think we'll probably get it in 2029 facilities to support our students. So I'm really happy to see that there are some items on the agenda tonight that allocate funding to deferred maintenance. Thank you for making those funds come to light. It seems like they've been there for a long time, but I'm happy to see them deployed and moving forward with projects. Our students truly need them. With the Capital Planning Steering Committee and the whole bond project, I would encourage you all, I know we need the money to go forward, but we also need transparency and we need community support in that process. I know that Rice Gardner is a premier firm. They've participated with us as a district before, but our committee hasn't met. We haven't had our constituency participate in this process since we disbanded last year. The last notes are in April of 2022. And so I know that you have limitations as trustees, but I would also ask you as you work on this comprehensive process to keep in mind, we don't have to bite off more than we can chew. We just need to put something forward. And I would encourage you to, I know it's a big number. I think if it's the right number that you all feel to push us forward and get a bond on the ballot, despite everything that's going on, let's do it. We were crippled and we broke our pencil with Brian Busby, and we all sat back and said, let's let this go away and hope that nobody pays attention. And as a parent of 4 children in this district, I feel like we're in the same boat again. Please don't sink our ship. Please don't cripple us. Please don't stop us moving forward with this bond process, and allow transparency and citizens to be a part of it as well. I also want to say I am against state takeover. I appreciate all of your work. Everyone in the district, our teachers are amazing. Our students are thriving despite they can put one foot in front of the other. My students speak Spanish and English, and without our amazing teachers, we wouldn't be here. And I hope that the state pays attention to that. Thank you.
Our next item held for registered speakers is item 14, approval of current and anticipated donations for district-wide and school-specific programs, and authorization to negotiate, execute, and amend necessary contracts associated with these donations. Will Jackie Abreu-Hill please come to the podium, followed by Angela Box.
First of all, happy Women's Month to those with XX chromosomes. We celebrate you because men will never be women. So when the HFT, AFT, Turner and Hidalgo are all in cahoots against the state takeover, tells the public everything they need to know as to why this is a good idea. You can't be any more corrupt than the unions.
This is your first reminder to stay on topic.
I'm getting there.
The approval of current and anticipated
My
donations.
time is ticking. You can't be any more corrupt with those unions and the ones running Gotham City. This district has been mismanaged for years, with most of the current school board trustees sitting here tonight. The unions haven't liked Mike Marath since he was a board trustee in Dallas ISD. TEA has made changes to policies, one in particular that the left hates regarding removing library books that are inappropriate
This is your second
for
reminder to
young
please stay
minds.
on topic.
This
Your topic
district is not
anticipated
transparent.
donations.
There are failing schools, mismanaged budgets, poor maintenance, violence resulting in security issues, teachers sexually assaulting students, students assaulting students, boys with the girls' bathroom, a failing special education program, inexperienced teachers, non-certified teachers, and the list goes on.
Mrs. Abreu Hill, you can speak towards this item. You can speak, but at the hearing of the community. Thank you. So please stay on topic. If you are not on topic, then we will have to move you to the end at the hearing of the community. Mrs. Angela Box.
But we'll go with it. Okay. Hi, I'm Angela Box, and I'm a former HISD teacher. The failures of this district are too numerous to count, and it is remarkable that the thoroughly politicized leftists who contributed to its downfall are blaming politics for its implosion. Here's what needs to happen now.
Mrs. Box,
Focus
again,
on
this is
basics
your
like
first
Bloom's
reminder to stay on
taxonomy.
topic.
Bloom's taxonomy, period, spelling pattern, grammar, vocabulary, phonics, and math facts. Reissue classic textbooks and workbooks. Get rid of the Chromebooks. Teach penmanship and composition. Enforce discipline and behavior standards. Send chronic
Ms. Box,
behavioral
please
problems
follow
to
the rules.
I'm
We're
not
setting
done.
an example
Behavioral
for kids.
problems to
This is
alternative
your second
schools.
reminder.
You're not going to talk over me, Danny.
This is your
Behavioral
second
problems to
reminder.
alternative schools run by former military. Issue real grades and flunk students again. Hold parents
Mrs. Box, if you would like to
accountable
speak at the
and
hearing of the
remove
community,
porn in the libraries. The
Ms.
reason
Box, you're
we're
able to
here
speak at the
is because
hearing of the
so-called
community.
progressives want to create generations of children who
it's
are
muted.
fat, lazy, dumb, woke, confused, and compliant. This ends now and not a moment too soon.
Our next item held for registered speakers is item 19, authority to negotiate and execute a memorandum of understanding between the Houston Independent School District Police Department and the South Houston Police Department. Well, I'm sorry for the mispronunciation. Hee-Yan Chow, Boo, please come to the podium.
Hello. So many years ago, I had a dream to be a teacher, to teach students to be the future leaders of America by teaching the core subjects like many teachers do. But really all of this changed when I joined a Title I campus in HISD and having to deal with a high stress environment and dealing with student discipline along with grades.
Ms. Fu, I'm going to remind you, this is your first reminder. Please
That's
stay on
totally
topic.
fine. Thanks for reminding me. Let me illuminate the parents and everyone watching. We don't fail our students anymore. We promote them no matter what. Our principals work to convince us as teachers to promote our students despite having barely passing grades and a lack of attendance. We don't actually discipline our students anymore too. And many of our
Ms. Fu,
teachers some
students are
days.
watching and you signed up for agenda item on the police
I'm really
department.
confused because normally you guys
And
don't
so,
really care about this, but you're
please stay
enforcing
on
this
topic.
now because you don't like the things that I'm saying despite the fact that they're...
Ms. Fu, you are able to speak at the hearing of the community. If you wanted to register to talk,
If we don't have basic accountability, if we are not doing, if teachers are not able to do our job and students are not doing their jobs as students, why should they continue to follow the rules and work hard?
Point of order. Point of order.
Teachers are leaving. You want to know why teachers
Point
are
of
leaving?
order.
That's the last board meeting. They're leaving. They're done because you're not supporting us. You're not supporting our students. We can't get quality substitutes, quality teacher associates to work here. Now you have...
Ms. Fu, our students are watching. Please make sure that you stay on topic.
I'm not using any belligerent language. I'm not
You
using any-
signed up to speak on the police department.
People making minimum wage teaching our students full time. They do not want you to know this, and this should scare you as parents. Schools have no accountability anymore. Standards are falling, and this will continue at the cost of our children's future. I just want something very simple to be able to teach my students, to be able to have high standards, that's what we were promised for, and that's not happening anymore. Thank you.
Our last item held for registered speakers is item 20, approval to adopt the National Incident Management System in response to an active threat incident. Will Laura Lim please come to the podium? And just a reminder, you signed up to speak on item number 20. Please stay on topic. If not, your mic will be muted.
Madam President, I have a point.
Why does HISD need to adopt the National Incident Management System in response to an active threat? Didn't HISD spend $29 million on security and monitoring services ending in 2022 fiscal year? $664 million in unassigned funds assigned from the federal government, yet my local school is trying to raise money from parents for metal detectors. Where did that money go? How much is this adoption costing taxpayers? Where's the transparency with all of this wasteful spending? TEA is taking over HISD. I couldn't be more ecstatic for this to happen. HISD received over $1 billion in ESSER funds from the federal government and $1.8 billion from property taxes. Yet our schools still lack heat, air, and HVAC systems that filter out poisonous carbon dioxide. Teachers are paid below minimum
Ms. Lim,
wage.
please stay on
Unqualified
topic with
assistant
the
teachers are
approval to
tired
adopt
to
a
teach
national incident
full-time.
management
Threats
system.
of violence
This is
are
your
occurring
first warning.
almost daily in our schools. Sexual assaults and misconduct amongst teachers and students is prevalent in our
Ms.
schools.
Lim, this
Audit
is your second
HISD
warning.
immediately for
Please
these
stay on
ESSER funds
topic.
and stop blaming Abbott for the lack of funds.
Madam President, I have a point of order.
This concludes our hearing of registered speakers for agenda items.
Madam President, I have a point of order.
Now, without objection from my colleagues, I would like to take up the possible matters discussed in executive session, now a little bit out of order. Are there any motions from closed session?
Madam President, I have a point of order.
Madam President, could we go into closed session really quickly, please?
Is it a legal matter?
It is a legal matter.
Okay.
Well, I mean, I could just sidebar with Ms. McBride for just a second.
Madam President, I have a point of order.
Well, that means I will not be voting then.
Madam President, I believe Trustee Baker is trying to get your attention. I think I'm hearing him say point of order.
Yes. Now, first of all, can y'all hear me?
I can't. Trustee
Can
Baker,
y'all hear me?
we can hear you now, Mr. Baker.
What took y'all so long? I had to say point of order 5 times. What's wrong with the audio down there?
Okay.
I have a point of order.
Please state your point of order, Trustee Baker.
My point of order is we should never have cut off those speakers. If we have politicians that can come up and skip everybody in line, we shouldn't be cutting those speakers off like we did. We got politicians
Mr. Baker?
and talking whatever they want to say.
Trustee Baker, since
Go
you've
ahead,
made
ma'am.
Trustee Baker, since you've made a point of order that requires a legal response under our policy, the speakers to agenda items we take at the beginning of the meeting, and speakers are supposed to stay on topic because it's supposed to be to actual. Thank you. Are supposed to be speaking to the actual items on the agenda. We have a second part of the meeting, which is the hearing of the community, which we take before, by 7 at every regular board meeting.
President, now this point of order, I can't hear Attorney McBride, please.
I'm sorry, I've got my mic on. I'll try to speak a little bit louder. And so the hearing of the community allows people who register to speak on any topic. So we have 2 parts of the meeting. One part of the meeting before you vote or deliberate on any action item, we allow the community to speak to you about those action items. And then the second part of the meeting before by 7 every evening is the hearing of the community, where the community is allowed to talk to the board on any topic.
Okay, Trustee Baker, the board will now adjourn to closed session or executive session.
Hold on. I'm an elected official just like you. Hold on.
I don't know how to, I don't know how. Emily, can you?
Hold on. My point of order is, why do we let all of these Democrat politicians come in and speak whenever they want, and we cut the public off like that?
President
Trustee,
Hernandez, I
we're gonna
rescind
go
my
into closed
closed
session.
session if you want to just move forward.
We need to go into closed session. So the board will now adjourn to closed session under executive session, chapter 551 of the Texas Government Code, Open Meetings Act, subsection 551.004, 551.071, 551.072, 551.073, 551.074, 551.076, 551.082, 551.0821, 551.083, 551.084, and 551.089. Should board final action, vote, or decision on any matter considered in closed session be required, such final vote, action, or decision shall be taken at the open meeting covered by this notice upon the reconvening of this public meeting or at a subsequent public meeting upon the notice of the board upon notice thereof. The board has adjourned to closed session or executive session at 5:33 p.m. on March 9, 2023.
But there are some DST cons. The Monday after spring forward, there's a spike in heart attacks. You know that?
No, I've heard accidents though, like commuters.
He's right. Accidents spike about 6% the week after spring forward. Critics also don't like the idea of making kids go to school in the dark. But the days of clock changing may be coming to an end. Last year, the Senate passed the Sunshine Protection Act, and if the House eventually decides to pass it, we may lock the clocks for good. But until then, welcome to Daylight Saving Time, America. That's right, like it or not, it is here on Sunday at 2 a.m. I don't know about you ladies, but I wish we would rather fall back and then also spring back.
Yes, I love that. Gain an hour of sleep. Yes, exactly. And you know what, Nick? We don't have moves like you, but we both have the consensus of we don't like the whole losing an hour of sleep.
Hold up. That's false. I've seen Caroline on TikTok.
Yes, we've seen you. Yes, I said this is my moment. I can finally collab with you.
Let's do it. Yeah,
all right.
Well, listen, next time I'm in Houston or you're here, it's a done deal.
Okay, perfect. Now we have it on the record, and this is going on TikTok for sure. Thanks so much, Nick. Nice meeting you.
Awesome. Yep, you too.
All right, so tell us what you think. How do you feel about daylight saving time? Take our poll on fox26houston.com or the free Fox 26 News app. Coming up on Fox 26 News at 5, 2 product recalls, the chairs and coolers that could create a hazard for users.
Beautiful evening shaping up across Houston. Just some scattered clouds rolling in. No raindrops falling from those clouds just yet. I'm tracking that next chance for rain. I'll let you know when that will arrive and our next cold front coming up. I'll let you know when that will arrive and our next cold front coming up.
This news segment is brought to you by Burlington. Love the deals. Beat the rush by scheduling your $69 air conditioning tune-up now with ARS Rescue Router. An AC tune-up can save you money and help prevent costly breakdowns. Keep your
because the backs could break or detach and cause an injury. The TJX chairs were sold at TJ Maxx, Home Goods, and Marshall's between June of 2019 and December of last year. Officials say there have been 10 reports of them breaking and causing injuries. People have gotten bruises and even a concussion. You can return them to the store for a refund. We have all the details on fox26houston.com. Yeti, they are recalling close to 2 million of its coolers and gear cases. Apparently, magnets on the products can detach, posing a risk or serious injury, even death. The coolers and gear bags were sold at Dick's Sporting Goods, Ace Hardware, Academy Sports and Outdoors, and more from March 2018 to January of 2023.
Well, toy makers are planning to lower prices at a time when inflation is high. Toy demand has dropped in the last year as prices for more essential items have increased. Companies plan to bring back fan favorites marked with similar prices from years ago. They hope to attract consumers who are struggling from the current economy. Well, baking goods company Edmunds is bringing back its iconic packaging after customers were not happy with the change. The clear cellophane windows, which allows customers to get a peek at the treats that they are buying, are back after 2 years. The temporary packaging changed when flooding happened. It damaged the facility in Pennsylvania after Hurricane Ida.
I am pro the packaging with the cellophane because you can tell if they're smushed or not, you know, because sometimes the packaging.
It just reminds me of being a kid. I used to eat those all the time. The donuts, the cookies. It just brings back memories.
Now we got to get some.
I know, right? Next on the news at 5, a shuttered Six Flags Park in New Orleans has become an eerie reminder of Hurricane Katrina. Now, a developer wants to bring life to the storm-stricken area after this.
At Kroger, we want our fresh produce to meet your expectations, which is why we do up to a 27-point inspection to check for things like color and scarring. Because when it comes to fresh, higher standards mean fresher produce. Kroger, fresh for everyone.
edition, we have the latest on the Americans kidnapped and killed while in Mexico. We'll tell you what the cartel is now saying about the incident. Plus, a Texas family says they are the victims of a pooch pirate, the four-legged thief that made off with their Amazon package. Those stories when we see you in about 15 minutes, right here for The News Edge, early edition at 6.
Well, a controversial drug used to prevent preterm births is now off the market. Cobus Pharma, the company behind the drug Makina, is voluntarily removing their product off shelves in the U.S. Now, this comes after it failed to prove successful in helping pregnant women reach full term with weekly injections. It was the only FDA-approved medication used to prevent premature births. Lawmakers in Colorado are considering a bill that would allow vending machines to dispense prescription medication to patients at pharmacies and health clinics. Supporters think the idea could help some people get their medication in record time rather than having to wait hours or, in some cases, days to fill.
Not being able to access your pharmacy during business hours because you might be at work during business hours is a real problem that everyday Americans and everyday Coloradans face.
Lawmakers say that the machines would allow interaction with remote pharmacists who would be able to fill the prescriptions right at the vending machine. The bill passed the House last week, and it's now headed to the Senate. Well, for more than 17 years, the Six Flags Park, that is, in New Orleans, has sat abandoned. The park was completely submerged by floodwaters during Hurricane Katrina, and attempts to redevelop the area have all failed. But now new developers say that they believe they can revive it with a new project. Fox's Rebecca Castor is live outside that park with more. Hi, Rebecca.
Good evening, Caroline and Rashi. It's definitely an eerie feeling out here. You can still vaguely make out the word Six Flags on the sign behind me. But besides being used for a few movies such as Jurassic World, the gates here have been shuttered since August 21st, 2005, 8 days before Hurricane Katrina slammed Louisiana. I want to show you some more video from inside the park now. You can see these amusement park rides have gone untouched for years. Graffiti covers most of the buildings. The park sits in a low-lying area just a few miles from the largest lake in the state, so a lot of those floodwaters from Katrina pooled in this location. The park was submerged in up to 7 feet of water, and it took over a month for it to drain. This caused a lot of corrosion for the rides, with Six Flags saying 80% of the park was beyond repair. The city of New Orleans took over the site in 2009. Since then, there have been numerous bids to develop the land, with ideas ranging from community parks to strip malls. But this week, the city has finally agreed on plans with the local developer Bayou Phoenix. Their vision includes a sports complex, a hotel with a water park, and a movie set. We spoke with Troy Henry, one of the leaders on this project, who lives in the neighborhood and knows how it feels to see the rest of the city rebuild while his community still struggles.
I live truly a stone's throw away from the site. I'm one of those residents that feels left behind. A classic example. My property value today, 18 years after Hurricane Katrina, is still lower than it was before Katrina. The rest of the city does not have that same property phenomenon.
The former Six Flags site sits about 14 miles outside the French Quarter, the part of town the tourists flock to. But Henry believes this project will help travelers start to see New Orleans as a family-friendly destination, not just Bourbon Street and casinos. Now, since Katrina, the levee system in New Orleans has seen major improvements. It held up during Hurricane Ida, the last major hurricane the state saw. So this site is much more prepared for hurricanes going forward. In New Orleans, Rebecca Castor, Fox 26 News.
Well, after weeks of soaking rain and heavy snow across the West, another strong front is setting its sights on California and much of the western U.S. Millions in central and northern California are under flood watches as rain drenches the area. Damaging winds are also expected to cause widespread power outages. Well, Fox 26 is your Gulf Coast Weather Authority. Here's meteorologist Ramisha Shade.
Well, we have been dealing with quite a bit of heat, Rashi, over the last couple of weeks. In fact, we're looking at our temperature history from about the last few weeks, and we've been above normal for those high temperatures every single day. So we have been stuck in this pattern, highs mainly in the 70s and 80s, and it looks like we will have to deal with at least a little bit more of it before we get some improvements if the cooler temps are your thing. We actually have a cold front that will drop in for tonight. It will bring some spotty rain. If you're looking for that rain, maybe for your yard or your garden, the best chance will be just north of Houston. I believe if you are right along or north of I-10, you'll have at least a slim shot for some rain. But the farther north you go, the better the shot for rain will be. This front won't bring much heat relief, but we do have a second front that will finally bring in some cooler air next week. To keep track of all of it, of course, you can download our Fox 26 weather app, and you will know exactly what's going on. Right now, it's all about the heat and humidity. We are stuck in it with those temperatures for many of you still in the 80s, 82 degrees over towards Conroe, 84 in Tomball. Different temperatures farther west, a little bit cooler, 76 degrees over towards Wharton, but still hanging on to the lower 80s in Sugar Land. So we still have some pretty toasty temps over the area, but here is the change. We've got some showers and storms near Dallas, getting closer to Waco. This front that has been stalled will finally start to sink south, and that will mean we'll have at least a slim shot for a little bit of rain late tonight through tomorrow morning, and temperatures at least north of this front will get a little bit cooler. So if you are heading out to the rodeo, I think through midnight, we should be really dry out there across the Houston area, but after midnight, here comes the front. Best shot for rain will be just north of Houston, but a few of those showers may sink into the Houston area. We should be mainly in the 60s, near 70 in the morning, but areas just to the north of this front will actually be a little cooler for tomorrow afternoon. Most of that rain will push out for the afternoon and evening, so I think the concert tomorrow night out at the rodeo should be dry, and then this front kind of fades and fizzles, and that heat quickly builds back in.
Okay. The board has reconvened at 5:50 p.m. And now, without objection, I would like to take the agenda out of order and take action on possible matters discussed in closed session. So we are now ready for items to consider discussed in closed session. Are there any motions?
Motion. Okay.
We have a motion by Trustee Bluford Daniels and a second by Trustee. Yeah.
Okay. I move that the board approve a finding of no good cause for educators to resign or abandon employment contracts without district consent under Section 21.105C, 21.160C, or 21.210C of the Texas Education Code as discussed in closed session, and authorize the superintendent or his designee to submit a written complaint to SBEC to impose sanctions as discussed in closed session, effective March 10th, 2023. I move that the board approve the ballots of the closed. Not that one yet?
Yeah.
Okay, all right, soon.
We have a motion by Trustee Bluford Daniels. Is there a second? We have a second by Trustee Dygard. Please vote. And this is our second time using this new system. Voting is now closing. Motion passed, 7-4, 1 abstention. 0 opposed.
I move that the board approve the balance
Okay, go ahead.
of the closed session personnel agenda, including specifically that the board approve proposed terminations of continuing term and probationary contracts, approve end of term terminations of probationary contracts, that the board approve proposed non-renewals of term contracts, that the board approve issuance of fourth-year probationary contracts, and that the board authorize the superintendent or his designee to provide notice of same, that the board approve separation and release agreements, that the board approve withdrawals of contract recommendations, and that the board approve issuance of final orders on contract terminations and non-renewal as discussed in closed session effective March 10th, 2023.
We have a motion by Trustee Bluford Daniels and a second by Trustee. Okay. a second by trustee Wade. Please vote. Voting is closing. We have 6 in favor, 0 opposed, and 2 abstentions. Motion passes. Do I have any other motions? Trustee Guidry?
I move that the board authorize the district's special counsel to non-suit the lawsuit styled as Houston ISD versus TEA in the 459th Judicial District Court, Travis County, Texas, cause number D1GN 19003695, in order to end further expenditure of district resources as there is no further legal recourse.
We have a motion. We have a motion by trustee Guidry and a second by trustee Cruz. Is there any discussion? Our commitment to our students is unwavering, and we are laser focused on student outcomes. We are now at the point where it is time for us to move forward. It is in our students and our employees' best interest for us to end this lawsuit between HISD and TEA and navigate and build relationships between all parties involved so that our community's values are upheld. We look forward to bringing both organizations to the table soon for the best interest of children. Please vote. Trustee Santos?
Thank you, Madam President. I wanted to say thank you to my colleagues for always being there for our kids and our communities and to the community. We fought for our students, parents, and communities' right to democratic voice for the last 5 years. We had 2 elections during that time. We had all of our schools achieve passing ratings and did it through a global pandemic. But we finally lost at the Supreme Court, and we don't have any procedures left to push our case. This battle is over, but our fight for democracy and public education will never be over. It is time for the community to come together. We will win by uniting our voices at the legislature and our neighborhood schools and at the ballot box. I'm sorry, y'all.
Please vote. Two.
Wait, point of order. What's this vote for? Because I was out. Point of order.
Trustee Guidry, can you please restate the motion?
Absolutely. Trustee Baker, can you hear me?
I can hear you loud and clear.
I move that the Board of Education, that the board authorize the district's special counsel to non-suit the lawsuit styled as Houston ISD versus TEA in the 459th Judicial District Court, Travis County, Texas, cause number D1GN 19003695, in order to end further expenditure of district resources as there are no further legal recourses.
We're closing. Voting is closing now. We are. Okay. We have 8 in favor, one opposed, and 0 abstentions. Motion passes. Yep, that's 9. Okay. We are now ready to consider the superintendent's agenda items. For the record, let it be reflected that the attachments to vendor awards donations, and AE local have changed, and the resolution in support of prohibiting the sale of all flavored tobacco products is a new item with a new attachment. The board policy requires trustees to abstain from all discussion and votes pertaining to contracts that might involve a conflict of interest. As defined in board policy BBFA local, a conflict of interest is any circumstance that could cast doubt on a trustee's ability to act without total objectivity with regard to the district's interest. We will now consider items held for abstention and/or discussion. For each item of discussion, we'll do one round of 1 minute per trustee. If an additional round is desired, that can be done with a motion second and a board vote. Our first item held from consent agenda is item 2, approval of the March budget amendment. This item was held for discussion by trustee Cruz and Dygard. May I have a motion?
So move, Baker.
We have a motion by trustee Allen and a second by trustee Bluford Daniels. Is there any discussion?
Discussion.
Trustee Baker.
Yes, I would like to say that on this item, all of my answers were satisfied with during the questions and answered. And so I have no further questions and no further concerns about this item.
Trustee Cruz.
I'm concerned that there is not clarity as to which of these vacant positions were considered core positions and that we don't understand the impact that this will have on our students. I'm concerned that our cuts or money savings are not strategic with our district priorities, and we only have 4. And my concerns are for this budget amendment and the proposed budget amendment for FY 2024. And my question is, we have $100 million more in unassigned fund balance, and that appeared in our January budget amendment. So I'm wondering where those cuts are coming from. If we're cutting budgets from schools, then we're cutting the PUA, and that is money that will not go to teaching and learning. We already have a lot of money, a lot more than we need in our rainy day fund. Then I have 2 more questions. What has been shared with principals in terms of their budgets for next year, and our employees already being told that they're going to be let go based on proposed cuts for FY 2024?
Chief Reed, let's start with the first question that you had.
Can you ask the first question again for me? Sorry.
Yes, the $100 million that is now in the unassigned fund balance that appeared in the January budget amendment.
So yeah, there was an increase over last year from 2022. By the end of 22, we did have an increase in the unassigned fund balance.
So where did that, like when I looked at all of the budget amendments from the time we adopted the budget until now, and that wasn't on any of the budget amendments until January. So where did we find the $100 million?
We didn't. The funds weren't found. We did not close out our CAFR until November.
Can you remind me what CAFR is?
So that's the annual financial report that you all adopted in November, and so at that point we updated all of our fund balances to what the year end actually was. Everything before that was estimated year end.
So is that fallout then? $100 million?
Yes, some of that was fallout.
That's a lot of fallout. So then my next 2 questions were, what has been shared with principals in terms of their budgets for FY 2024, and are employees already being told that they're going to be let go based on proposed cuts?
I'm going to have our Chief of Schools, Dr. Denise Watts, to share some insight in reference to how intentional we have been with principals in reference to budget.
Yes, thank you for the question. Over the last 3 to 4 months, we have had several budget sessions with the principals, essentially scaffolding them around what are the district level cuts and reductions that will be made, and then what will be the school level impacts that will be made. Today, each of them received their budget allocation sheet, which explained what their general fund budget allocation would be, what their ESSER and Title I allocations would be as well. They received information about a PUA increase today, any positions that would be changing that are centrally funded, and also any positions that they have elected to use ESSER dollars for or Title I dollars for, that they may need to close a position and or do a reduction in force at their schools. There's a lot of information principals have received since December, but those are just a few of the highlights.
President Hernandez, can I respond to that, or can I make a motion for a second round, please?
We have somebody else in the queue,
Okay.
so we'll come back to you.
Thank you.
Trustee Bluford Daniels?
Thank you for that, because I remember when we were talking about this budget, one of the things that was concerning is, obviously, once we gave the pay raises, and then we started talking about the ESSER funds, then I had concerns then with the ESSER funds being utilized, knowing that after a while that they would run out. So I'm just glad to see we're back on track with this savings, and we just want to see opportunity to be able to allow more for our teachers and students at our campuses. Thank you.
Trustee, if there's nobody else in the queue, then we'll go back to Trustee Cruz.
Okay, thank you. So thank you, Chief Watts. So my question then is, if we're already giving principals budgets, but we haven't discussed the budget as a full board, we really only had one budget meeting, public meeting, and so I am concerned that decisions are already being made without approval.
What I will share with you there, principals know that these are only recommendations that have to be ratified by the board. So we've been very clear about that. But we also wanted to engage with them as early as possible because, of course, remember the goal was to get them budgets, before the spring break was over. So we've been very clear with them that these are the recommendations. If these recommendations are ratified by the board, this is what it will look like.
Okay. And as it relates to positions, some of them elected to put positions in one-time funding, ESSER funding that we designated as one-time funding, Title I funding that was designated last year as one-time funding. So if it was one-time funding, it expires this year, so they have to be positioned to make decisions.
Yes. So, and I feel like we need to start these conversations much sooner, because I feel like we're always caught in this time constraint, and I totally agree that we should be having conversations with principals as early as possible. So my last question that I had stated, are employees already being told that they're going to get let go based on proposed cuts? And this is not about ESSER or any of the one-time fees.
No, there's not a plan for an overall RIF, so no.
Not even an overall RIF, but just if certain...
The one-time funding positions that you're talking about?
Well, just if there's a department or school that it has cuts based on proposed cuts overall, not one-time funding, are people being already told they're going to be let go?
The focus right now in terms of majority of the budget cuts that we're focused on, especially those that have to do with positions, are vacant positions. Those that don't have employees that have sat for quite some time vacant. So we've captured a lot of big number, especially on the instructional side, a number of the cuts from that perspective. We've chosen not to go and look at employees that are currently in positions.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Trustee Dygard?
So to Trustee Cruz's point about the timing of all of this, given all of the uncertainty and instability right now, it just feels misguided to me for us to be riffing people right now before the board's approved anything.
And again, as I indicated, I think we're not.
It's only vacant positions?
That is the focus. Mr. Reed, do you mind indicating that in a different way?
No, so you're correct. Right now, all we've identified are vacant positions at this time.
Are they vacant positions in core content areas that now that the principals can't fill in because they don't know if we're going to approve this budget or not, and they're going to miss the prime hiring windows?
Go ahead.
So what they've done right now is the vacant positions were for 22, 23. They have not even started working on their 23, 24 budgets. We haven't rolled those out to the campuses to actually start building those yet. So nothing's been identified for 23, 24 yet.
Hearing there are no employees in the next couple of weeks that are getting refed.
Not that I'm aware of. No.
Mr. Grant Skinner?
Are there any employees getting refed in the next couple of weeks before our next budget meeting?
Mr. Grant Skinner?
I want to answer, I guess, a couple things. So this item is actually about the current year's budget, and so we do not implement a reduction in force in the middle of a year. So as it pertains to this item, no employee would find out that their position is going away this year as a result of the current year budget amendment. For fiscal year 2024, which is not related to this item, as Chief Reed said, schools have just started looking at what their plans are for next year. You have an item tonight, item 7, which is related to reduction in force. There's a very limited number of positions that were even saying it's even possible for there to be a reduction in force for the upcoming year. I think there are five positions, no classroom teachers, no librarians, no nurses, et cetera, et cetera. As principals go through that process, they may start engaging in conversations with staff in their school about whether there are the same number of positions in their school for next year. But that does not relate to a reduction in force where someone would be terminated from the district.
So I think that what I'm hearing is you're not cutting people between now and our budget meeting when we can ask questions in the more appropriate place.
Let's go.
Right?
Correct.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, please vote. We have one more person left to vote.
They got you, Kendall.
Okay, voting is now closing. We have 6 in favor, 2 opposed, and 0 abstention. Motion passes.
Madam President, point of privilege.
Point of order. My vote was not recorded. Point of order.
Ms. Trustee Baker, your vote was counted.
I didn't see my green name on the screen.
Mrs. Aguilar? Was his name on there? Previous vote.
Did you close the vote? Okay, so can someone on the prevailing side, a motion to reconsider it?
Motion to reconsider the previous vote?
Second.
And this time, pay attention to the screen.
Call for the revote.
Please vote.
And board members, this is on the motion to reconsider to put that previous motion back on the floor.
This is just to reconsider, right?
This is just on the motion to reconsider.
Yeah.
It's not on the actual
So-
substance.
We can move forward without them, so. Voting is closing. Motion passed. We have 7 in favor, 0 opposed, and 0 abstentions. Now
There you
that
go.
motion, and now the motion regarding the budget amendment is back on the floor.
we are now going to vote on the March budget amendment. Please vote.
You have trustee Wade moved it
Sorry,
and trustee
yes.
Dygard seconded.
We have a motion by trustee Wade and a second by trustee Dygard. Please vote.
Trustee Baker is indicating yes.
Voting is now closing. Motion passed. We have 5 in favor, 2 opposed, and 0 abstentions. Our next item held from consent agenda is item 3, approval to adopt resolution in support of prohibiting the sale of all flavored tobacco products. I requested this item to be pulled for discussion, and I have asked trustee Dr. Allen to read this resolution. May I have a motion? I have a motion by trustee Santos and a second by trustee Cruz. Are there any comments from my colleagues?
Yes.
Trustee Allen.
Resolution of the Houston Independent School District Board of Education in support of prohibiting the sale of all flavored tobacco products. Whereas the Houston Independent School District has a substantial interest in protecting the health and safety of its students regarding public safety, security, and public health measures, including dangerous products such as tobacco and e-cigarettes. And whereas tobacco use remains a significant public health problem and impediment to health equity in Texas. And whereas tobacco use remains the leading cause of preventable disease in the U.S., killing more than 480,000 Americans each year. And whereas tobacco products use starts and is established mostly during adolescence, and nearly 9 out of 10 adults who smoke cigarettes daily first tried smoking by the age of 18. And whereas every year about 10,400 young Texans under age 18 become new daily smokers. And whereas 28,000 Texans die each year from smoking-related illnesses, it is estimated that 500,000 Texans under the age of 18 will ultimately die from tobacco-related diseases. And whereas, according to the U.S. Surgeon General, nicotine can harm the parts of the adolescent brain responsible for attention, learning, mood, and impulse control, and can prime the brain for addiction to other drugs. And whereas menthol cigarettes and other flavored tobacco products have been shown to be starter products for youth who begin using tobacco, and these products help establish tobacco habits that can lead to long-term addiction. And whereas 8 out of 10 youth who have ever used a tobacco product initiated with a flavored product. And whereas the U.S. Surgeon General declared youth e-cigarette use as epidemic in 2018. And whereas over 3 million U.S. youth are current e-cigarette users, and nearly 40% of high school e-cigarette users are frequent users. And whereas a 2018 study found that nearly 1/5 of Texas high school students had used e-cigarettes in the last 30 days. And whereas e-cigarettes are available in more than 15,000 flavors, including a wide variety with kid-friendly names of fruit, desserts, and candy, such as gummy bears and cotton candy. And whereas 83% of high school e-cigarette users and 74% of middle school e-cigarette users use flavored products. And whereas 82% of youth e-cigarette users and 74% of youth cigar smokers say they use the products because they come in flavors I like. And whereas cigars are the second most popular tobacco product among high schoolers and are disproportionately used by Black youth. And whereas cigars are sold in over 250 flavors like chocolate, watermelon, and tropical fusion that attract youth and mask the harsh taste of tobacco. And whereas the U.S. Food and Drug Administration has concluded that menthol cigarettes lead to increased smoking, initiation among youth and young adults, greater addiction, and decreased success in quitting smoking. And whereas more than half of high school e-cigarette smokers use mint and menthol flavors. And whereas the tobacco industry has targeted African American communities for decades with marketing for menthol cigarettes through sponsorship of community and music events, and targeted African American and Hispanic communities with magazine advertising and retail promotions. And whereas 85% of black smokers and 50% of Hispanic smokers smoke menthol cigarettes, compared to 29% of white smokers. And whereas parents, schools, students, and public health organizations, including the American Cancer Society, American Lung Association, American Heart Association, the Campaign for Tobacco-Free Kids, and the Houston Independent School District, support prohibiting the sale of all flavored tobacco products. Now, therefore, be it resolved that the Board of Education of the Houston Independent School District formally states its support for prohibiting the sale of all flavored tobacco products, adopted this 9th day of March, 2023.
Thank you, Trustee Allen. I don't see anybody else in the queue, so please vote. Mrs. Smith, is Trustee Baker still on Zoom? Okay. Voting is now closing. We have 6 in favor, 0 opposed, and 0 abstentions. Motion passes. Our last item held from consent agenda is item 22.
Yes.
Approval of proposed revisions to board policy, a local educational philosophy regarding constraints 2.1, 2.2, and 2.3, first reading. Trustee.
Yeah, I would like to make a motion to pull an item from consent. I move to pull item number 22, approval of proposed revisions to board policy, AE local educational philosophy regarding constraints 2.1, 2.2, and 2.3, first reading. So this is to pull it from consent.
We have a motion to pull an item from consent. A motion by Trustee Cruz. And I saw a second by Trustee Wade. There it goes. Please vote. And Ms. Aguilar, Trustee Baker is back on the Zoom. Okay, voting is now closing. We have 6 in favor, 1 opposed, and 1 abstention. Motion passes.
So now you need to call up 22, ask for a motion.
Okay. Now we have pulled item 22 from the consent agenda. May I have a motion? We have a motion by Trustee Wade and a second by Trustee Cruz. Are there any comments or questions?
Go ahead and read it since it was pulled.
The item pulled, number 22, is approval of proposed revisions to board policy, a local educational philosophy regarding constraints 2.1, 2.2, and 2.3. First reading. Are there any comments? Trustee Cruz?
Thank you. I just want to thank everyone who spent time researching and putting these progress measures forward. But as I stated in our workshop, I would like us to measure outcomes and not outputs. Thank you.
I don't see anybody else in the queue, so please vote. Did you get trustee Baker's as well? Okay, voting is now closing. Motion passes, 5 in favor, 3 opposed, 0 abstentions. We are now ready to consider the remainder of today's agenda. Do I have a motion to accept the balance of today's agenda by consensus?
So Baker.
Is there a second? We have a motion by trustee Cruz and a second by trustee Bluford Daniels. Are there any comments or questions from my colleagues? I don't see anyone in the queue. Please vote.
Wait, you're not paying attention. Jesus.
Kendall, I think trustee Baker was in the queue.
Yeah, we have to recognize. I want to end this. Do I have the floor?
Go ahead, trustee Baker.
We have to recognize board policy says if a trustee, elected trustee, is visible and audible, it is just like me being there together down there. I made a motion to approve it, and y'all ignored it. Okay, and I want the public to know that we're not paying attention.
Trustee Baker.
Go ahead.
We're using the new software, so I'm reading the.
That's not an excuse. I made a motion online.
Any further discussion? Please
That's
vote.
It. Get it together.
We're missing one vote. Voting is now closing. Motion passes, 9 in favor, 0 abstentions, and 0 opposed. Do I have a motion to approve the minutes of the regularly monthly board meeting held on February 9th, 2023?
No move, Baker.
We have a motion by trustee Bluford Daniels and a second by trustee Baker. Please vote. Voting is now closing. Motion passes. We have 9 in favor, 0 opposed, and 0 abstentions. Hearing of the community. We will now conduct our hearing of the community so that speakers may be heard no later than 7 p.m. in accordance with board policy. We have 9 registered speakers remaining this evening. Speakers are limited to 2 minutes each. I'd like to remind speakers that when addressing the board, please stay on topic and refrain from naming individuals, especially students, as they are protected under the Family Education Rights and Privacy Act. However, naming your own child is permissible in the course of stating your concern. The board encourages and welcomes comments and input from our community, but we cannot respond to or deliberate on any subject that is not included on the posted agenda. While the board listens to concerns of a general nature, speakers should practice normal rules of decorum. Obscene language and profanity will not be tolerated as this is a public meeting and our students are watching. Additionally, disruptions of the meeting will not be tolerated. We ask the audience to refrain from interrupting speakers while they present to the board during this portion of the meeting. Zoom speakers, please remember that we must see you live with your camera on as you speak. We will begin with registered speakers who signed up to address the board in the auditorium. Would Eunice Davis please come to the podium? As I call the next three names, please take a seat on the front row. Ramona Thompson Holt, Mark Holt, and Brenda Piatiak.
Oh, I had, my topic was about bullying and harassment with your students and teachers. My kids are new to HISD, and we came from A-Leaf. And this school district has been absolutely awful. My kids went to Forrester Elementary, where they were bullied, and I ultimately pulled them out of the school after 2 months, after they moved the bully into her classroom, to take them to Fundren Elementary School. My kids got bullied from 3 adult male teachers, to the point that I had to run to the school to get my daughter out of the school days after having an emergency C-section. They stressed me out so badly at that school that I literally tried to kill myself. My son was in the NICU fighting for his life, while the teachers at the school called the cops and said that I came to a school and I tried to pull something out of him. I'm assuming he meant a gun. Cops were called, HISD police, to the school. And this situation resulted in absolutely nothing, because this was August and they haven't said anything about it. So my son just made 6 months, so I just thought I'd come and talk at this board meeting to tell them that my son made it. Your teachers tried to kill him. He almost lost his mother because I was going to kill myself, and my other kids were going to lose their mother, all behind these teachers that kept bullying my children, kicking them out the after-school program, saying they was cursing, found out that was a lie, and making them stand on the park, making them have timeouts repeatedly until I had to pull my kids from that school. So that was fun. And I ended up having to take her back to Forrester, where she is now convened to getting re-bullied again. A kid tried to unalive her by pushing her in front of a bus. She got jumped by 4 boys, and just this weekend she almost got into a fight yet again. Bullying and harassment from your teachers and your students.
Ramona Thompson Holt.
A recent meeting was held to address the devastating change in ranking, which indicated that our daughter was no longer valedictorian. Our daughter was instructed by the principal to take an office class in her senior year and was ensured that her ranking would not be affected and would remain protected by this course selection. Ms. Nixon defended the course selection by stating that she didn't think our daughter could handle taking a debate class and 2 AP classes in her senior year. So Ms. Nixon stated, I made 1 chess move instead of 2. The principal strategically placed our daughter in classes that would remove her as valedictorian. The principal and school are responsible for our daughter losing her ranking status. We would have never allowed an office worker assignment which offers no grade or credit if we had known the outcome. The principal significantly discussed the male student who is now valedictorian, which is a violation of his rights. We can't help but wonder if similar discussions were made and our daughter's grades were discussed without our permission, which may have ultimately influenced the senior year course selection for the other student. I would like to request the rank of the entire senior class and the principal's actions to be investigated. I am interested to know if race and or gender played a part in administration's actions that determined the valedictorian. We would like for our daughter to be valedictorian or co-valedictorian, and we are seeking legal representation regarding Principal Nixon's actions and will retain a public relations consultant. We are aware of a similar situation which impacted an African-American female at Lamar High School last year and prevented her from becoming valedictorian. We are asking that district policies and procedures be reviewed and revised to protect our innocent children from systematic hidden sabotagers that seek to undermine their significant achievements.
Mark Holt, followed by Brenda Piat and Nikki De Hoyos. Mark Holt. Brenda Piatiak. Brenda. Nikki De Hoyos, followed by Veronica Coetero.
I'm sorry, guys. I'm trying not to get emotional. My name is Nikki. I have a 3-year-old sped son by the name of Noah Castillo. I've just completed his art meeting with Deschamps Elementary, and we are in the process of enrolling him. However, his medical needs require him to have 24-hour nursing. My son's nurse is more than willing to attend school with him, but HISD has not allowed that to happen. Recently, I've been made aware of the policies in place by HISD. The district has asked us to let go of our current home nurse, who has cared for my child for 2.5 years, and allow you all to hire a total stranger because y'all's policy doesn't allow home nurses in the school. Please understand how difficult it is to find someone you trust with your child. Understand how many nurses we had to go through in order to find someone who truly cares for my son and other SPED kids like him. Being a special parent is the furthest thing from easy, and we want to see our child thrive. HISD has the resources available for him to do that, but the policies in place are hindering that from happening. I've reached out to Conroe, Katy, and Spring ISD, all which are located in the state of Texas and allow nurses on campus to care for medically fragile children like my son. My son doesn't talk, so he communicates with gestures and facial expressions, which his nurse understands. It's taken time for his nurse to get to know him. This isn't something that has happened overnight. She knows when he's not feeling well or needs medical attention. She will also be able to help teachers and staff get to know my son as well. She will be his voice. During one of the meetings with some of the HISD representatives, a nurse was brought in for my son without my knowledge. I never had a chance to interview this nurse. I knew absolutely nothing about her. During the meeting, I was made aware that the individual had just graduated and had never taken care of a SPED child. Understand the fear I felt in my heart thinking about everything that could possibly go wrong because I allowed HISD to care for my child.
Veronica Coetero.
Hello there. My name is Veronica Cuetero, and I have 3 children in HISD, all in different special education programs and in 3 different schools. I am currently the president of the PTO at Benavides Elementary, and I am here to ask for transparency of the principal hiring at Benavides. It has almost been 2 months since the principal at Benavides was removed. I was involved in the previous hiring process of the principal not long ago. Last year, to be exact, around April, and found out that while some parents were involved in the process, we were only presented with 1 candidate. I asked transparency on the timeline and status of this process. The parents deserve to know if there are any plans to hire a new principal for the school year, and if we, the parents, will be allowed to choose between multiple candidates, or will you just stick us with the same person who might not be the best fit for our school. Trustee Bridget Wade, I trust in you that I will get my email answered that I had sent to you. Please help us ensure that all children are guaranteed an equitable education. Thank you for your time. And I would also like to thank SSO Sandy Goff for taking the weight left behind, but she needs help. Please ensure she has it for the sake of our students' education. Thank you.
Next, we will hear from registered speakers who signed up to speak virtually via Zoom. Ms. Smith, please identify and admit our speakers.
Ms. Frio, please turn your camera on and you may begin.
Good evening. My name is Jane Frio, and I'm a HISD parent. More than 2 years ago, the Texas Education Agency cited HISD for failing a special education accreditation investigation. And shortly after that, the TEA took over the special education department and has been working to bring the department back into compliance for years. Today, the board received a legal update in closed session on the special education accreditation investigation. But parents in this district haven't heard any update on real special education changes in the last 2 years. There has been no transparency about what the TEA conservators are doing, and despite our request as parents to meet with the conservators, we have not been able to do so. Why is there not more transparency about this process? Who is in charge of the special education department right now? Is it the TEA? If the TEA was to take over this district, as been rumored, is this what it will look like? More silence, less involvement with parents, and more chaos and dysfunction. I ask you as elected trustees to please continue to fight for your jobs that we elected you to do and oppose more TEA takeover and involvement. Because if the special education takeover is a blueprint for a district-wide TEA takeover, our children are absolutely going to suffer. We would like for you to use your power as the elected board to call public meetings about the special education investigation and update parents in the community on the progress or lack of progress made. And also, based on the vote on tonight's meeting of not continuing with any legal action against a takeover, we would ask for you all to please oppose it as board members. Thank you.
There are no more Zoom speakers.
Okay. We are now ready to hear reports and comments from board members. Please limit your time to 1 minute per trustee. And we will start with Trustee Dygard. Okay. Well, we will start with Trustee Allen. Trustee Allen is prepared.
Hi.
I can go while she's looking for it, if that's okay.
Why?
Trustee Baker, are you prepared with your comments?
I am prepared. Let me just say this to the members of the community. In light of the speculated takeover, let me just tell you, first of all, it's just a mere speculation. It's a mere speculation. It's just a rumor. The TEA and its Commissioner Mike Murad, has not decided on which direction we should go. Now, the behavior of the past board is the reason why I was elected. And I want to ensure the members of District 6, as well as the members of the entire district, that I love the children. I have a passion to serve. I'm a pastor. I'm praying for the district. And I do hope that even if we're not taking over, that our board becomes more efficient, more effective, and that we can become a beacon light for school districts all around the world. This baby right here is just 7 years old. That's my only child. And it's all about these children. They only have one shot.
Thank you, Trustee Baker.
So, listen.
Thank you, Trustee Baker.
No, hold up. All of y'all go over. I can go over too. To the community of Houston, good night. God bless you. And just keep praying for our board so we can leave from dysfunctional and become functional and be the best board the world has ever seen. Good night.
Trustee Allen?
Yes, I wanted to say, don't forget to support the Houston Livestock Show and Rodeo to help our students with scholarships. Enjoy next week, which is spring break for HISD. And at the end of the month, celebrate Chavez Huerta Day, Friday, March 31st. Thank you. Good night.
Trustee Cruz?
Thank you. Just want to tell special education parents that we hear you. And it's something that we have asked the administration to prepare and to help us be more transparent. That is definitely a priority for the board. It is one of our 4 goals, and it is also one of our constraints. So that is highly important to us, and we hear you.
Trustee Bluford Daniels?
Thank you. While SPED is obviously important, we're here now because of concerns for our students not meeting student outcomes in the past, not just last year or the year before, 5 years ago, 10 years ago. So it's going to take a lot to right this ship. It's going to take a whole lot. And we were working and fighting to continue our fight because we were moving in the right direction. We're moving in the right direction in that we've had 40 schools come out of F status of all the 50 that we had previously. So our work has not been in vain. Thank you, Superintendent House, for that leadership and all the chiefs that have assisted with that. One thing for sure, on Friday, January 13th, it's been a tumultuous year since then. 3 years, and while I realize the perception of this board may be continue to be of concern, let me assure you, I have served trying to convey a positive outlook. Enjoy spring break, happy Women's History Month, and let's keep our children in the forefront. That's why we're here. Thank you.
Trustee Wade?
What an honor it is to serve you. I hear you. I hear Benavides. I appreciate you being here always. And I appreciate the SPED parents who advocate so diligently for their children. It's just been such a joy and a privilege to be able to have this opportunity. And so I look forward to keeping up and keeping on, and most importantly, that we do good things for our staff, and most importantly, our children. So thank you very much. Good night.
Trustee Santos?
Order.
Trustee Baker,
You have the floor. Point of order.
if you're speaking to us, we can't hear you. You're cutting in and out.
Publicly.
You're still cutting in and out, Trustee Baker. I'm sorry, we're hearing every other word.
Trustee Santos?
Thank you, President Hernandez. Just want to say that I really, really support democracy. I want to thank my colleagues again, and for the public for standing up for our school children and doing what you can. Thank you to the teachers, to the parents, and to our students for joining us and for joining us on every vote that we take is difficult, and it's done with the best intentions and with our children being the guiding light. And I hope that in the end that shines through. Thank you.
Trustee Dygard?
I'm not going to just have a two-word thing tonight. I'll use my 60 seconds. I came here to be a voice for children and always put them first in every single decision, not just when it's easy, but even when it's hard. And tonight was one of the hard ones. I hope everyone has a safe, fun, and restful spring break. Good night.
Point of order. Can you hear me now?
Yes, we can hear you right now.
We got to stop discriminating against each other on this board. When I went over, you stopped me, but when Trustee Bluford Daniel went over, you didn't say a word. And so that's the public sees that, and whatever happens at the top flows down to the bottom. We are still dysfunctional, and we need to be straight before the PEA takes over for real. Good night.
Trustee Guidry?
I think I am probably one of the few trustees that can say I have enjoyed working with each and every one of you. I think we do make a good team because it takes all of our voices in order to speak on behalf of this district. No one person can speak for one district. We are one HISD. And we have come here, and I know I have come, and I have attempted on every hand to work in the best interests of our district. And I also would like to take this opportunity to thank our superintendent and the administration for doing such a good job. And whether we realize it or not, this district is moving forward. And it is moving forward in a good way. in a positive manner, whether you like him or not. I just happen to like him, okay? Thank you all. Good night.
Thank you. Our commitment, I know everybody on this board is committed to students and to student outcomes. A lot of us on this board were students in HISD or worked in HISD previously. We hope that that HISD keeps on moving forward. We know that there is a lot of work left to do, but everyone on this dais is ready to do the work. Happy spring break, everyone, and happy Chavez and Dolores Huerta Day. Have a good rest of your night. Buenas noches.
And still Wheatley proud. I'm a graduate, still Wheatley proud.
And now the board will now adjourn to closed session or executive session.
Go Wheatley!
Under Chapter 551 of the Texas Government Code, Open Meetings Act, subsections 551.004, 551.071, 551.072, 551.073, 551.074, 551.076, 551